What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 88 of the Trainer Scoop podcast. On today's episode, I'm joined by a very dear friend, Hailey Thayer. Hailey, say what's up to the people.
What's up, guys?
Hailey, thank you so much for coming on. She's braved not only her typical shopping routine, but also multiple altercations out of Marshalls today to be on the podcast. So we really appreciate you taking time.
Yes, thank you for having me.
And Hailey has been a longtime friend. I met Hailey back when I lived in New Jersey in like 2019. So we go back quite some time at this point. But Hailey, if you want to tell the people a little bit about your background, some of your fitness things, your past achievements, go for it.
So I grew up my entire life being a swimmer. I swam on a club team growing up where, in addition to just doing like our typical swim practices, which would be like 2 hours long, we also did what is known to the swimming community as dry land. And during this 1 hour time period that would happen, I think like 3 days a week, we do like kettlebell exercises, like weighted pull-ups, weighted push-ups. Any like weighted activity that we would do would be like with kettlebells, but like you could also do it like without weights as well. Like it was meant for people of all ages. And that was geared towards, specifically bettering yourself in the pool, not necessarily like building muscle in like a bodybuilding sense. So really just like athletic type lifting. And then I went on to swim in college as well, where I still had the 2 hour swim practice. I also had dry land in college, but then in college is where the weight room was introduced to me, and we would do like actual weighted exercises with like barbells, dumbbells, hex bars, stuff like that, where we had like a specific like strength and conditioning coach. Whereas my only experience with like weightlifting prior to that was with like my swim coach, who was like doing their own research, like finding good exercises that would help us out in the pool. Now we had someone whose specific job it was to know the proper exercises that would help a swimmer versus a baseball player versus a football player, and so on and so forth.
So you got the treatment.
Yeah, and you know what? He was a really good coach. He did do his research, and I remember we'd have this like piece of paper where it would have like our movements on it, and you like tracked your weight and stuff like that, and he'd keep it like in a folder, and he'd like review it from time to time to see like what was working and what wasn't working. He didn't come from a swimming background, but it was just cool to know that he like cared, and so that definitely sparked something in me, like a new love for weightlifting. It was something that was kind of brewing throughout my like middle school and high school years doing dry land with my club team. But then in college, when I like really got a taste for it, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like I really like doing this.
Real quick question for you. How old were you when you started swimming? And then like part two, like how old were you when you started really taking it seriously to the point where you're like, oh yeah, like I can go to college and like potentially do this on a scholarship and that type of deal?
So I was first introduced to swimming at 8 years old. My mom signed me up for swim lessons because it was like a safety thing. Like she wanted me to be able to like survive in water. And then I just kind of ended up being naturally decent at it, and I enjoyed it as well. So I did those swim lessons for 2 years, and then I kind of grew out of them. And my mom was like, okay, like, is swimming something that you want to like keep doing? And I was like, yeah, I think it is. So from that moment on, I was like 10 years old. I only swam in the summertime. Here in New Jersey, it's like a staple to someone's youth to be on like the summer league team. So I strictly did summer league until I got into the 8th grade. And that was the year like right before high school. And I was thinking ahead, and I was like, I definitely want to be on the swim team in high school, but I don't want to be on the JV team. Like, I want to make varsity my freshman year. So when I was in 8th grade, I started swimming on my club team where we swam year round.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that to prepare for high school. And then high school came along, and I did my high school team and I did my club team. So there were days when I would either go to 2 practices in one day, or I'd have a high school meet. And then after the high school meet, I'd go to my club team
Oh
practice.
my gosh.
Yeah,
Sheesh.
looking back on it, I was like, I have no idea how I did all of that, because in adulthood, I just feel like I'm so tired. I'm like, I don't think I would be able to do that now.
Yeah,
Um,
that's like so much calorie expenditure. Like, were you
yeah,
just eating like crazy in your youth?
yes, I remember one summer. I think it was like the first summer that I did the summer league. I was like, "Oh my god, mom, I'm so hungry." And she was like, "Here, like, dude," she gave me some food, and I was like, "Mom, I'm still hungry. Like, I don't." And my mom's like, "Oh my god, like, what is going on?" So that was a little bit funny. I remember that moment. But yeah,
Yeah.
I never thought about food in terms of like the quality of things that I was eating, or I didn't know anything about like macronutrients. That didn't start coming into play until like maybe junior, senior year of college. And
Mm-hmm.
even then, like it was such a new topic to me. I didn't really have like a proper grasp on it. So I was still probably under eating.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's just something that I like look back on, and I'm like, man, if I had known what I know now, like maybe I could have been a little bit better. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe my performance could have been a little bit better. But I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. It got me where I needed to go, and I still like look back on the memories fondly. And I think that even if my times like were a little bit faster because of my nutrition, like I don't really think it would change the way that I look at it. You know,
Right.
I don't think it would
Yeah.
like alter those memories. But it
Yeah.
is still just something like funny that I think about. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Definitely.
but to
But
answer your question, I didn't really start taking swimming like seriously until I was in like 8th grade.
mm-hmm.
And then from then on, I was just like, okay, yeah, like I know this is the path that I want to go.
Yeah. Gotcha. So if we think about it like that, it was like 9 years of like dedicated effort toward a
Yeah.
goal, toward, like one concentrated event, or I
Mhm.
guess sport, we could say, that you were really dedicated to. We'll keep that 9 year number in our back pocket for later in the episode.
Okay.
But I'm also curious to hear, because I met you. What was that? That was like our first year out of college. So you
Yeah,
were
we had
at
just graduated. And
yeah,
it
yeah.
was like that gym was only like the second gym I had ever belonged to in my life. Prior to going to that gym, I was a member of the YMCA.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just because they offered like a college discount for 3 months. You could pay like a flat fee of like $100, I think, and then like go an unlimited amount of times for the summer. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, heck yeah. But then I got a job at our gym being a lifeguard. And so
mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, this is a total upgrade. Now I'm like actually getting paid to go to the gym.
Classic. What a time to be alive. Good times at RWJ. We miss it from time to time. Good times.
I do, yeah. I look back on it and I'm like, I genuinely enjoy. I mean, I still enjoy going to the gym, but back then it was like an event. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was at least like 2 hours out of my day. I always made sure to like pick out a nice outfit. Like the playlists were always on point. Like, and it was a social event. Like I was friends with so many people there, so that was like my activity of the day was going to the gym.
Yeah, that's classic. Ugh, what a time. And from what I remember, like I remember you were doing some, like I remember we talked about like your deadlifts, but like what was your first training like style like back then? And I know it's evolved since, but like how's the evolution of your training gone?
So my first like, as I mentioned, my first like exposure to lifting was in college, where we were doing like more athletic type movements. So we were doing primarily squat, bench, deadlift, and then doing some different type of accessory movements that were meant to translate into power in the pool, whether it was diving off the block, pushing off the wall during a flip turn, things like that, right? So when I would lift in the summertime or like in the off season, or when I was just like done swimming, I don't want to say for the rest of my life, but like done my collegiate swimming career, um, I had discovered um, like bodybuilding on YouTube. Like obviously like classic David Lade was a big one. Um, who else did I watch? I was really into Christian Guzman and Max Tuning. And my big takeaway from watching them was, okay, do the main movements of squat, bench, deadlift, but then they also did these like fun accessory movements as well. And I was like, at the time, I was like, well, I want to be really strong. So let me keep doing squat, bench, deadlift, but also I want to look good at the same time. So let me do these other like accessory movements as well. And I think Dylan McKenna was the one, I remember him calling it, I think like power building or something like that is like what he coined it, because it was powerlifting but also bodybuilding at the same time.
Jersey guy, right? I think both him and David were, yeah.
So that was my takeaway from watching them, and they were like more bodybuilding focused than I was at the time. But I still kind of had that mindset of like, I want to be strong, but I also want to like look good at the same time. So that was kind of like my mindset.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. And is that still the case now? Has it switched up for you? What are
It
you
has
doing?
definitely switched up for me. So now I no longer do squat, bench, deadlift. I actually can't recall the last time that I did a traditional squat, bench, or deadlift. Now I primarily use machines, and I do like RDLs, or I'll do like hack squats or like Smith machine squats, or like different variations. I feel like now I don't really care so much about being like strong. I feel like I have evolved more so into like the aesthetic look of things. And one thing that I found was that I really got into my head about my weight that I was moving and my numbers. And I don't want to say my whole mood would be contingent on whether or not I moved a lot of weight, but it did have like a big impact on me.
Yeah. Or like if you have like a goal weight you're going to hit and you don't hit it, you're like, fuck, that was like a waste of my workout. Like, yeah, I get that.
Yeah. I know that for like some of my friends, it really did like take a toll on them, and I wasn't like quite as bad as that. But it did like, because I'm a competitive person, so, and I like am pretty hard on myself. So if I didn't like reach that goal, like you said, I would just kind of feel shitty.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
right now, I have so many other things to worry about in my life that when I work out, I want it to only bring me joy. So I kind of took a step away for at least like the past 2, maybe it's even been 3 years at this point. Actually, I think it's been more like 3 years. So for the past 3 years, I've kind of taken a step away from the powerlifting aspect, and I've pretty much only concentrated on just like building an aesthetic looking physique.
Yeah. I feel like that brings us to like a good point where it's like, when is a good time to pivot from your goals or like your training style and try something new? Maybe try something that, is similar to what you've done, but or nonetheless is like a different goal. So I think you bring up a good point. It's like, what were some of the driving factors that made you switch it up? I know like that kind of annoyance of like, hey, if I don't hit my my numbers. It kind of like detracts from the overall enjoyment of the session. Was there any other things that come to mind that you've kept in mind as you kind of switched up your training, switched up the goals?
So a big factor for me when I did initially, because you've been, guiding me through my workouts and writing my programs for quite a while now, actually. I remember a conversation that we had. I was getting ready to go away to basic training for the military. And I knew that my world one was going to be flipped upside down, and I was no longer going to have the same like regiment that I had previously. And I said, you know what, like I'm going to have so many things to worry about when I'm away, like learning all of these new things, like learning my new job and so on and so forth. I was like, I don't even know like what time I'm going to be afforded to work out. Like obviously when you're in basic, like you're locked in, but then post basic, when I was like learning how to do my actual job, I didn't know what my schedule was going to be like. I knew that I was going to have to study a lot. So I didn't know like how much time I was even going to have to work out. Like there were probably going to be days that I wasn't going to be able to work out. And so I recall saying to you, like, I'm going to be like stressed out about like all this stuff as it is. Like, I don't also want to have to worry about, am I hitting 85% of my 1 rep max? Am
Yeah.
I hitting these numbers that I'm supposed to? I just didn't think that I was going to be able to really properly dedicate the amount of time and energy that I needed towards those lifting goals. And honestly, like I shouldn't have been either. Like I shouldn't have been worrying about reaching the lifting goals. That wasn't the priority at the time. The priority was learning my job and getting good grades and like exceeding in that respect,
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what, like, let me just change my mindset. And I'm not saying you can't reach certain goals on like machines, because you definitely can. But for me, just that like slight mental switch, like alleviated a whole realm of stress that I foresaw.
Yeah. That's like a great point. And just to kind of like summarize that, what I'm hearing is like, switching it up if it makes better sense, practicality, so you can kind of stick to the plan and stick to consistently going.
Yeah.
Yeah, like fitting it in with life's demands. Obviously, you had like a huge shift in focus for your life. And while this is going, I'm gonna roll a clip. Can you see the video there?
Yeah.
Yeah, for the YouTube viewers, you can see a big throwback to a video that I did with Hailey, like 2021. I love this gym. This gym was so cool.
Yeah. Yep.
Good
It's still
times.
there.
Do you ever go if you're visiting?
I haven't gone in a long time, because anytime I'm down that way, I go to my friend Tyler's home gym.
Oh, does he live down there?
He doesn't live that far south, but he
Mm-hmm.
lives like probably a half an hour away from that location. Um, but when I do go to my uncle's house like for vacation and I'm not doing like any work,
Mm-hmm.
I will go to that gym. It's actually like kind of expensive. I think a day pass is like $15.
Right.
Um, and like, I don't want to sound like an asshole where I'm like complaining about spending $15, but like I know other places like their day passes are only like $10 or something.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely got like that upcharge for being like that close, I guess.
I think
Like
it has an upcharge because I think it's struggling, honestly.
probably.
I think it's a gym that's like struggling. And like, I get it. I love supporting local businesses and stuff like that. So I understand that the price is going to be a little bit higher. But I just don't really feel like spending like over $30 to go like multiple times a week.
Yeah, for sure. For
That one,
sure. Another thing that can potentially make you switch up your fitness training and your fitness goals is price of the gyms. Like CrossFit gyms be like $200 a month. Like fuck.
That's crazy.
For all the classes, like unlimited classes type
Wow.
situation. Yeah. But I feel like that transitions into our main point of the podcast today, and I'll stop sharing this tab, is we see a lot of trends come and go on social media, fitness social media specifically. And one thing that we have been chatting about back and forth in the DMs, like, man, everybody, like a lot of, not everybody, but a lot of fitness influencers are shifting over to the trendy thing these days, which is high rocks. So,
Yeah.
like, what's your initial thought when you see that? And like, we don't have to call anybody out specifically. We can talk about specifics if you want to. I don't really care. But like, what's your thought when you see that? When you see people like riding the trend and switching over to the next new thing?
So I definitely have like very mixed feelings about it. Um, on like opposite ends of the spectrum. Like some of my feelings are like very positive, and then some of my feelings are also like very negative. So I guess I'll start with the positives first. Um, Overall, I think it's good that people, instead of only sticking to like one specific area of fitness, I think it's good that people are branching out, because just playing devil's advocate here, maybe they've now found something that they enjoy more, and that is like a big part of it. Enjoyment. Why would you do something that you don't enjoy?
Mm-hmm.
Also, on that same token, if you enjoy it more, you're more likely to be more consistent. So maybe these people who are now like discovering this high rocks workout or like this hybrid training, maybe they enjoy it more and maybe it allows them to be more consistent. Great. Another thing, specifically for the people who only did like previously bodybuilding or powerlifting, now maybe they found like a cardio workout that they enjoy that adds a new aspect of health to their life, right? Because we all know that people who do powerlifting or bodybuilding, they shy away from cardiovascular activity unless they're cutting and they only do it to like burn calories or what have you. But cardiovascular activity is obviously good for your heart health, and that is
Yeah.
something that you're going to like appreciate later in life when you're, I don't know, 75 years old and you're struggling to walk up the steps. I'm sure you're going to wish that you had prioritized your heart health, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But then I look at it from the other perspective, and I realize that probably the main reason why these like social media influencers are partaking in this is just to stay relevant.
Relevancy, yeah, it's big though, and like people,
And I don't knock them really, because if you're a social media influencer, that is probably like your only source of income. So you need to do what you have to do in order to be able to stay afloat and keep making that income. Um, but I just like, the hater in me is like, you're just hopping on the bandwagon, you're just trying to stay relevant. Um, I don't know. I'm a hater.
yeah.
I'll admit it. I'm a hater. Um,
I think there's something to that. I mean, you did a great job of highlighting like the pros of like trying new things, and like great points in terms of like your health and enjoyment. Those are two things that like I hope everybody has with their fitness. But the thing that is there's like two mindsets that I have on the hater end as well. And it's
okay.
like, man, you're really limiting your potential to ever get good at that one
I thought
thing.
that was an interesting point that you brought up to me the other day. And I didn't think of it that way before. Um,
Hmm.
that you brought something like new for me to mull over in my brain. Um,
Hmm.
Specifically for one individual who could have had a career, a very successful career in bodybuilding, right?
Hmm.
And now diverting from that just to stay relevant and just to, I don't want to say just to make money, because I mean,
Right.
face it, like people could say the same thing about me, like, oh, you're doing X, Y, and Z, like
Oh, true, true. Yeah. Because you
you're
do a lot in your professional life. So yeah.
do, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess people could say like, I can't believe you're doing this just to make money.
Hmm.
I guess to each his own. Um, but when I look at those people who were previously who did previously have their own niche in the social media realm, now diverting to something else, I kind of look at them and I'm like, "Ah, you're a sellout."
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like that's like a valid thing from like a fan perspective or like from a observer perspective. It's like, man, like if I see someone like, pick something that they're naturally good at and just like grind on it for 10 years and they become a pro and like they become a coach, like I'm gonna go get coached from that person. Like that's someone who's been there, done that. They had good genetics, but they put the work in to
Mhm.
become like the best. I'm like, that's who I want. But like the way I think about it, kind of to expound upon that, you need some type of focus to excel is what I'm trying to say there in a roundabout way.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. And I think for that point that you brought up about like introducing weightlifting into like my swimming career, um, I did find it very difficult to do both. And I did it like because I had to. And when we talk about like the kind of weightlifting that I was doing, like I was not doing it for the purpose of having a good physique and trying to build muscle. I was doing it to better my performance in the pool. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so when you to try and bring it back to like the whole social media thing, like when I see um, some of these people who are like now hybrid athletes, but they're still trying to like hang on to what little like weightlifting career they have. Like they're not, at least from what I've seen, and obviously I've never seen like every single video on the internet, right? It's just like my small window of viewing. They're still trying to hold on to that like bodybuilding, like powerlifting type of workout while
Mm-hmm.
also doing the running, the swimming, the biking, and so on and so forth. So I think the difference there is that like back in when I did swimming, like that lifting was for swimming, if
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense. I don't know if
Yeah.
I'm like, articulating that
Yeah.
correctly.
It's
Whereas
like
like now what I
specific.
see is like, oh, I'm a bodybuilder, but I'm also a triathlete. And I'm like, what?
Yeah. Very, very few people can pull that one off. And I think that's like the main point that I want to make with the podcast. It's not just to hate, but like when people are viewing social media, they often like kind of base their own fitness and base their own actions off of the influencers that they see.
1,000%.
And
Even if the influencer says, don't do this,
yeah,
people are still going to do this.
right. Definitely. And yeah, that's a great point. But the thing for people to keep in mind is like if you want to achieve a fitness goal or just get in a sustainable routine, hopping around left and right for most people, it's just not going to be a sustainable or productive use of your time. You only get so much time. Like you said, like life catches up, you get busy, especially as you get in your professional year, like working years, and like trying to do so many things at once because you see, people whose like kind of full-time job it is to make content and do these things. That's where it can get, I'm not going to say it's disingenuous, but it's just not one-to-one for the common people out there that are
Mhm.
trying to achieve a goal.
And to your point, I've definitely said this to you so many times about like the social media, the people on social media. One day I just had like this epiphany, right? And I was like, oh my God, this person who I'm watching on my screen has never worked a night shift before, has probably never worked more than a 12-hour day, has probably never done like half the things that I do in my professional life. And I'm watching them promote like their workouts and dedicate their entire life to health and fitness. And then I'm feeling bad about myself because I can't do that. And I'm like, wait a minute, like time out. Like I don't want to say what these people are doing is unrealistic, but I had to just like take a step back and be like, wait a minute, this person is merely entertainment for me.
Exactly.
At
Yes.
the end of the day, and I I feel bad because it almost takes the humanity out of it because like these are real people doing like real things, but when you take into consideration the fact that they don't have any other responsibilities other than growing their social media presence by health and fitness and promoting their brand and being a coach and so on, like those types of things, they don't work like a real job.
Mm-hmm.
So when they're hopping from trend to trend, like it's literally just entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally just for entertainment. And that's kind of sad because like there are people who do try and provide like educational type videos. And I feel like, I mean, you know that I love Jeff Nippard. Like he's kind of stayed like true and true, like ever since I first started watching his videos, is that he's like involved in that educational niche on YouTube. Um, but everybody else, like it's literally just like for views to make money and like support their life. And it's at the end
Mm-hmm.
of the day, like I had to just think about it, and I was like, I should not be trying to model my life off of this person. I should not be trying to replicate their lifestyle or their workouts or anything. They are just entertainment for me.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that point up because like that is what it is for many people that do social media as like a career. You know, a great example is like Larry Wheels. Do you ever follow him? Have you followed him in the past?
No, no.
Yeah, Larry Wheels is just like one of the freakiest like genetic specimen ever.
Hmm.
He got like really big about powerlifting, like
Hmm.
what was it, probably 6, 7 years ago. But he's since done like powerlifting, strongman, bodybuilding, arm wrestling, all at like a very high level.
Okay.
But not to the point where he's ever going to be like a pro body. Well, he could be a pro bodybuilder if he really took it serious for a year, but like he's done well in bodybuilding, but never got a pro card, like done well at powerlifting, but never been like top 3 in his weight class. And
Okay.
it is just like, it's really cool to watch because you're like, dang, this guy can do so much. Like that's crazy, but it is just entertainment at the end of the day. That's what people got to realize.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of, I want to circle back to your swimming because I do feel like you didn't really do other sports, right? Like
No.
swimming was pretty much, yeah.
No. Swimming was one of those things, exactly what you had said before, where like you have to devote like all of your time and energy to it. Like I never knew a swimmer who did a different sport on top of that. Like
Yeah.
it's one of those things where like if you don't go to practice for like 2 days, like you, I don't want to say you're starting over, but like you're not going to come into practice on the third day and like be at the same interval that you were like before you
Hmm.
left.
Yeah. Dang, that's crazy. What do you think are some of the things that like make it that way? Is it just like the cardio like ability? Because I know swimming is so technique driven, right? Like your swimming technique, your breathing technique, like what exactly about swimming, which I feel like is a good example because there's other disciplines that do take that same level of dedication. Like, but what about swimming specifically is so demanding?
Um, just the repetition.
Mm-hmm.
I was always jealous of people who did other sports because I was like, damn, like you get to just be out there like playing your sport. Whereas like I have to be here in the water, like just grinding, like
Mm-hmm.
literally just like grinding away. I noticed that for me, if I ever took time off from swimming, like maybe it was because I like got sick or like I was only gone like for maybe a couple days at most. When I would come back, I noticed that I would like lose the feel of the water, which I don't even know how to like explain, but just like I would lose the feel for it, and it would feel like foreign to me. And I was like, okay, like I gotta just like get through this one practice, and then like tomorrow will be better. Um, Maybe it was all just in my head because a majority of swimming is mental. I think more so than other sports. Um,
No, it's like it's very good, and that's the main point I wanted to drive home for people listening in is like we're seeing a huge. I mean, this happens with everything, right? It just every 5 years there's kind of like a new activity, and I'll say like even like I've trend hopped. Like probably why I got into powerlifting originally was because like in the late 2010s, like powerlifting was pretty popular.
mhm.
So it's definitely cool to see someone doing something on social media and to try to follow them and like do what they do, but just know like these people are doing what they do because it gets the engagement and the clicks. and it has that entertainment value. But if you have a serious goal, like you might have to be locked in like Hailey and really dedicate a good chunk of not only consistent days, but like consistent years to get where you're trying to go.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. For me, I've been consuming fitness social media probably since 2017, so like 8 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I just feel sad to see some of the people who I used to really enjoy watching, like more or less, like sell themselves out, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Because I always knew them in like a certain niche or like know them in like a certain light, and now they're off doing something like completely different, and I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
Uh, but at the same time, I almost wish that I had this like era of social media back when I was doing swimming and then dabbling in like the bodybuilding a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
because I always felt like I never really like fit into that lifting community because I was like swimming so much and I had like these other things going on, and I just always felt like different. So in
Mm-hmm.
my off seasons from swimming, I was like, okay, my cardio levels are significantly less than what I was expected to do in season. So now I'm going to use this time to like build on as much muscle as I can. But I would still be like doing some running, doing some swimming, doing some biking, enough to where like I would be able to get back into it like once the season starts. You know, like I didn't want to get like completely out of cardiovascular shape. So like in those summers during college, I would do triathlons and stuff. But I was like primarily lifting. And I
Yeah.
remember like watching the same YouTubers who I mentioned before, like David Lade, Dylan McKenna, like I was watching them and I was like, damn, like I'm trying to like kind of lift like them, but I'll never be like them because I do like all of this cardio stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm seeing people like market what I used to do and like make a brand off of what I used to do without any like recognition whatsoever. And I'm like, one, I kind of wish I did have these people to like give me encouragement when I was like in that realm. But also, two, like, this isn't anything new either. Like, this whole idea of being like a hybrid athlete, like, it's not a new concept. And I think
Yeah.
that's like my beef with it is that like people are taking something that has like existed before and they just like put a new fancy label on it, and now the world is going crazy and making it seem like it's this new like groundbreaking thing, and it's kind of like, well, you kind of could have done this before. So
That's like such a such an accurate breakdown of the fitness industry. It's like every like 10, 15 years, like let's just rebrand a training method
it's
from.
just like sheep. Like everybody really, or they're just like sheep. Like before, like people only did like powerlifting, only did bodybuilding is because that's like what social media fed them. And now all of a sudden, like people are like, oh, let me do a high rocks workout. Like let me run a half marathon. Let me do a full marathon. Let me train for an Ironman because social media like told me I could.
Right. How do you feel about high rocks in general?
Um, I don't think I know like what the actual like race or like competition consists of, like what specific exercises.
Mm-hmm.
There's another one called like Hydrox or something. Like, isn't there like something else too? Um,
Hmm.
Nick Bear was like training for one of them. Um, it seems like a new version of CrossFit.
Yeah, for sure. In the carryover
Like
from.
CrossFit got old and is not trendy anymore. So they rebranded it to this new like thing that essentially consists of the same workout styles, and now people like love it.
Yeah, no, that's honestly pretty on point. It is very I feel like there's some similarities. Can you see that or is it too small?
Yeah.
I'll try to make it a little bit bigger for the viewers. But yeah, that's like a breakdown of the rules. I've been to a few of the events, but it's like yeah, it's like a mix of running and then other like functional fitness events. So it is kind of CrossFit coded. Another interesting thing that I find funny about it is like it's not tested. So you see guys that are just like blatantly running like testosterone and maybe other things competing with just like your average Joes. I'm like,
Oh,
which you
I didn't
see,
know that was a thing.
I mean, at like the lower levels, like I think the pros do get tested, but like there's still like rampant anabolic use. That's just like they time their cycles so that like the detectable does. They're not running the same stuff that bodybuilders are running by all means, but like you're like, how are you that big and you run this much? Like that's
Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
interesting part. But yeah, like I feel like this is a perfect example too for people, and we can kind of close out here with it. But like something like High Rocks, you see it's like very very diverse set of activities that you're doing. Like you're running 8 kilometers, you're
hmm
doing yeah, like you're rowing, your skiing, your lunges. Like this is very general fitness. If you have like a certain strength goal or like aesthetic goal in mind, this like type of general training is not going to get you there. And that's just something to realize
yeah.
as you're going through setting your goals and finding what you love in fitness. So
Yep. And I know you just used like lifting as an example, but I also want to highlight like if you have specific running goals or if you have like specific biking goals too, like this isn't only like the purpose of this like podcast isn't to like shit on cardiovascular activity. But
mhm.
the point is, like you said, if you have a specific goal, like the workout that you just showed on the screen, like that competition is not going to help you reach like the
Yeah.
strength goal or help you to be a better bodybuilder or help you to, I mean, it is like cardio based. So like by default, it will help with your cardiovascular growth, but it won't really help you reach that sub 3 hour marathon time. Like
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like big takeaways there. Understand a lot of social media is entertainment value. If you want to achieve like a big feat or like go somewhere with your fitness, like Hailey did, like it's going to take like years of dedication in one modality. Am I missing anything there with my final takeaways?
I don't think so.
There is one, and I feel like it's something that we've managed to do even together pretty well, and that's managing having fun with your
Oh,
fitness.
yeah.
So we could definitely take some time to talk about some fun memes because, like you said, like we saw our gym or our video at the gym, we'd be getting after it and having some fun too. I think there's definitely places for that.
Yeah.
Off the top of your head, Hailey, what are some of the funnies that we've encountered together throughout the years?
Oh my God. You're really putting me on the spot. Um, that was a really good time. I'm happy that we have that YouTube video because like that wasn't the first. I don't think that was even the first year that we did that. I think that was actually like the second year that we
Hmm.
went down the shore and we had like great beach days, and then we were also able to like work out too, and like um, just every day at RWJ was just like something new. Um, the drama that ensued, but also just like there's just something I'm definitely looking at it in rose colored glasses, but like there's just something so special about like those formative years of lifting and developing friendships through that common goal of wanting to get stronger or wanting to like look better. Like some of my best friends, like you and Tyler, like our friendships are solely formed on the gym.
Hmm.
And when I am like trying to explain this to new people in my life, I feel like I'm not doing it justice. I feel like they think I'm crazy. I'm like, okay, so like the only commonality that you have with this person is like going to the gym. It's like, no, 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 no. Like now we have so many other things, right? Um, but at the core of it, it's really just like finding joy in making yourself better through like lifting and through
Mm-hmm.
the different things that the gym has to offer.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, that was sweet. I loved it. My favorite was when I was about to leave New Jersey because a relationship ended, and it's like fucking peak COVID, and there's not a lot to do. But Hailey and some friends, we all went to Buffalo Wild Wings, where
Dude,
we
that's
stopped.
something, man.
We stopped at that liquor store and grabbed like 12 pink
Brittany, the
shooters.
shooters.
And we're just taking them at Buffalo Wild Wings. And like the girl that was our waitress just knew we were blatantly
We
doing
put them on the tray when we were done with them.
so
That was
classic.
honestly a really good time. COVID was such an interesting time for the gym and stuff. I was
Oh
still in
yeah.
like a cardio era during that time. So I wasn't like as affected as most people.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember seeing you on social media with your freaking barnyard gym and like
Yep.
you were making it work, man.
Oh yeah. We were. We were. God, what a time to be alive.
And then going to the track with like Ryan and stuff and just like using bands and like
Mm-hmm.
that was the time when like you knew the people who were like real with it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. Definitely. That's so true. That was like a good separator because you'd be like, oh, you know what? I wonder if he'll watch this. I love you, Joey, if you watch this, but I would talk to Joey at the gym, and then sometimes, like, once the gym's opened, I'd see him in the gym. Like he'd taken some time off because like not everybody had access to a
Yeah.
barn like I did. So like I can't fault him, but like we did a workout together. I was like, dude, like I just have an hour. Like I might as well just like do a session with you. And
Mhm.
oh my god, this poor guy, he was like, fuck, like I'm dead. So
I think
classic
he's still
times.
hitting it. I think he's still in the gym.
Oh
I
yeah.
haven't spoken to him in a while, but I do still see his content on social media. Joey was one of those people who got me into like listening to anime music while being in the
Mm-hmm.
gym. He like sparked that trend for me.
No, what a guy.
Like a fun time in my life. Really had
Right?
me gassed up going to the gym and made it more fun for me.
The story that I want to leave the people with because I feel like it's so symbolic for our friendship is and I'll take a like full slightly irresponsible decision credit here. But Haley and I, after a great day hitting the beach, hitting the gym, we decided we should go get some dinner. And we do, we get a good dinner in. And then we're like, yeah, like we should probably go out to like a bar and
Oh,
just
baby, I know where
record.
this is going.
And I'm like, man, like, what would be a great way to save money? Like, we can just drink some of the White Claws that we have.
Yes.
So, parked, key out of the ignition, all in the up and up. Slammed about 7 White Claws in the Ford Focus before heading out to the bar. And the strategy was like, hey, like, I'm good on drinking now. Like, I'll just ride this out. Like, you have fun, and then I'll drive home at like 2 a.m. And, that's pretty much exactly how it went, except for we get back to the car at 2 a.m. And I go to turn the ignition and I hear a click. And it's like, what happened? Like, why isn't the car working? And I check over at the lights and I left those hose on. Like, I left the fucking lights on. So the lights had been on for 7 hours at that point.
Yeah.
Battery was dead as shit.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, we're in Cape May Courthouse, New Jersey, like 2.5 to 3 hours away from anyone we know. It was just you and me at that point because other people in the group had left.
Yep. Yep.
And I'm like, fuck, like, what do we do? So, like, call up AAA. They're not going to be there till 5 a.m.
Play is dog shit.
AAA is dog shit. But what does Haley do?
I
Tell them what
walked
you
up.
did.
We were actually in Sea Isle.
See, that was CIO. You're right. You're
It
right.
was it was only 15 minutes away from my uncle's house, but by car.
Mm-hmm.
No Ubers, were available because it was 2 a.m. The bar, it was last call. So I went up to a nice policeman who was at the corner and I said, "Sir, can you please help us?" Neither of us were drunk actually.
Not at that point.
I know that people are going to be skeptical. We were not intoxicated at that point anymore. We were drinking waters, the time had passed, none of that. We don't play with that. And I said, "Sir, can you please help us? Our car battery is dead." And they helped us.
They fucking jumped the car at 2:30 a.m.
Literal lifesavers.
Classic. Good times. We need to go out and Danny just texted me from the other room. She said, I think this is your favorite story. I'm like, it honestly is a classic story.
It definitely is.
I need to make my way back out and get into some beach shenanigans with you. Maybe get a lift in.
I would be I need you to come to my house. I just bought a new house. Well, the house isn't new. It's new to me, not new to the world. It was actually built in the 60s. So very not new, but new to me. First time homeowner. And I never thought that having a home gym was going to be a dream of mine. But throughout the home buying process, I decided that was something that was non-negotiable for me. And so we bought a house that had space in the basement for a home gym and completely decked it out. Definitely lived on Facebook Marketplace for a really long time and stalked it every single day. And built up this home gym to really be my dream gym. And I would be so happy if you came here to visit me and we got an awesome workout in the gym.
Should.
Free from the public eye, getting to play whatever music we want to. We can film without fear of being annoying to other people.
Do you have any pictures or videos of it?
Yeah, I do. I can.
You should send me one.
I will send them
to you. I'll pop it up.
Yeah. I'm really proud of it just because of it's something that I built. I had obviously help from Tyler and my dad. I would not have been able to do it without them. But it is something that I'm really proud of, and I would be so happy to welcome you into the gym and see what your thoughts are about the layout or about my equipment choice. I hope I have enough weight for you if we're doing legs or something like that.
I'm pretty fucking
weak. I don't have enough weight for you, but
no, I'm pretty weak. I'll bring some at that point.
Yeah, and then I have a spare bedroom at the house, so I'll definitely be able to be hospitable to you and
dang, gym and a bedroom.
My homeowner era, so I'm all excited about it.
That's cool though. And you're not training at a commercial gym anymore, right? Do you still have a membership or?
So I do still have a membership. I was actually at Crunch today. That is.
Oh, you were back at Crunch.
Yes. So the only reason why I went to Crunch today is because I had a hair appointment, which is in the same shopping center as Crunch. And I also wanted to tan today. I know people don't really like that, but you know what? I like tanning. Okay.
You gotta do it sometimes.
Oh, it doesn't look like it. Look at how pale I am, and I tan. So imagine how pale I would be if I didn't tan.
I'm there with you.
So I got my hair done, and then I walked down the street and went and hit a workout, and then tanned afterwards. But aside from this isolated time today, I actually do not recall the last time that I was in a commercial gym.
That's good because you'd just be texting me sometimes about the crazy shit that happens at Crunch. I'll be like, oh, I know.
And that I feel is a whole nother, I could have a whole nother podcast about being a home gym owner, truly. And Tyler and I will talk about this often because he had the original home gym and then helped me with mine. And just comparing I've had a complete change of mindset now in terms of my workout and my fitness and stuff like that.
Really?
Yes.
That's exciting. We should talk about that sometime.
We should. And once the podcast is over, so you're not sitting on the edge of your seat in suspense. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
But I highly encourage anyone who is like into fitness. Like if you have the ability to make a home gym, like I can't encourage it enough.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's been cool to see the growth. It's been fun to recollect some stories, and I do feel like we had some good points with like, hey, take social media for the entertainment value that it sometimes can be.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that was a good episode 87 of the Trainer's Scoop, Haley. Anything else to add? Any additional notes for the audience?
No, just thank you for having me. Don't roast
Thank
me
you.
too bad. I know I'm a nobody, but I feel like what I bring to the table is just like experience.
Yeah.
I've just been through many different realms of fitness at many different points of my life.
Yeah.
And I'm not an expert by any means. I don't have a degree in anything. I just honestly, the knowledge that I have is like from David, really, is all that it is. Like he teaches me so much, and then of course Jeff Nippert on the internet as well.
Hell yeah. Well, I love that. And no, I feel like your experience is so valuable because, like, college athlete, that's nothing to scoff at. And then, like, you kind of briefly mentioned the physical demands of your job and the training you had to go through. Like, that's a big thing, balancing that with just like achieving your fitness goals on the side, your personal goals. So it's much appreciated. And thank you for taking time to be on. Thank you all for taking time to watch episode 88. Do all the social media things. Feel free to subscribe on YouTube, like the video, leave a review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, share the show around. And if you want, I feel like Hailey's a great follow. Lots of cute puppy pics, the kitties.
Animal content, yes.
Yeah, in her home and pet mom era right here. So
Yeah. Yep. I'm
give
a
her a
rock.
follow, and we will catch you all in the next episode.
Awesome. Thank you.